Maybe he wants to go down to Copenhagen. You want to be real ambitious.
That's true. Yeah. If you want to ruin bitches.
If you want to be ambitious.
Yeah, ambitious.
And
Yeah.
also ruin bitches. Yes.
Those go hand in hand.
Yes.
If you're ambitious, you can ruin bitches.
Hello, and welcome to Series 2 of DEC Comedian. My name is Ryan Bussell, I'll be your host. In this series, I'm talking to comics who got their start during the pandemic. What were they thinking? What was the scene like for them when they started, and how are things for them now that things have returned to normal? Stay tuned and find out.
Hello, Kevin Ricks.
Hello, Ryan.
Thanks for meeting me for the podcast. This is the first one I've done in a few years, so I apologize if I'm rusty.
I'll promise to be gentle.
I appreciate that. So yeah, I want to talk to you about your time starting off during the time of COVID.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you doing it so fast because I understand you're going to move. You're moving now.
Yeah, I'm moving down south to Malmö.
Why?
I
I should say congratulations, but instead of just, why would you do that?
Why would you ever move to Malmö? Because of love.
Oh,
Yeah. My girlfriend is from there, and she's been living in Stockholm with me for a year now, and then that didn't work out. So now we're gonna try our luck in Malmö instead.
okay. But you met her from down? How did you meet her?
I was on a road trip like 2 years ago through Sweden. I was up in Norrland, and then I went to visit some friends, and then I went down to Malmö to visit some friends, and that's where I met her through mutuals. Do I have to do this in English?
Please.
Okay. I will try my best. But I met her through mutuals in Malmö.
Okay.
And then we became embezzled. No, we fell in love. And then she moved here, and then now I'm moving there to try out. But I love the scene there as well in Malmö. So at the beginning, I was like, I have to be in Stockholm to do stand-up.
Right.
Because this is the hub, the mecca in Sweden for stand-up, where all the jobs are and most of the clubs. But then when I thought about it, I realized that all my favorite comics are from or living in Malmö. So maybe some of their talent will rub off on me when I'm there. I'm hoping.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what God has in mind for you, but yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah, inshallah.
And do you have like a job lined up while you're down there, or?
No, I'm gonna go on all casa.
Okay.
For
a true comic.
Yeah, a true comic. Yes. I've been doing that before when I played music. I haven't done it during stand-up. So, but now I'm looking forward to like having just a lot of free time to write and read and perform there.
But you haven't performed there at all yet, or have you?
Yeah, I've been there like 5 times to perform at their like regular open mic called Humorbaren, run by Isak Berg, Lisa Dahlin, Elvira Lander och Lovisa Henriksson. They run that mic, and I've been to perform at Underjord as well.
Okay.
The prestigious club Underjord. Yeah. I had a bit of luck there because I know David Asp, who started around the same time as me during the pandemic, and he was there to perform, and then I met him, and at the same time I met Johannes Finnlaugsson, the club owner, and then I think he associated me with David Asp, so he told me I could just call him if I wanted to perform there. So I did, and I did.
That's nice to have a little coattails to ride along with.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I've been there. I'm looking forward to establishing myself in a new city as well.
And now it's past post-pandemic, so more clubs will open up.
Yeah.
Malmö was never really huge, like with a huge variety of clubs, but.
No, there's more now than there ever was, I think. I read a news piece in, I think it was Svenska Dagbladet or some other plain newspaper, and they listed all the clubs in Malmö at the end of it. They had like a repertoire, an article about the stand-up scene in Malmö, and then at the end of it they listed all the clubs, and it's like 10 of them, I think.
10, okay.
I So you could perform a couple of times a week at least.
And you can also go down to Copenhagen if you want to be real ambitious.
That's true. Yeah. If you want to ruin bitches.
Now you hear what you want to hear. If you want to be ambitious
Yeah, ambitious.
and also ruin bitches, yes, you can go to that.
Those go hand in hand.
Yes.
If you're ambitious, you can ruin bitches.
Have you been performing? Because I've not seen you very much lately. But doing stand-up. Well, have you been going around in Stockholm?
Yeah, I've been doing more club gigs than open mics right now because I'm wrapping up all of my life here in Stockholm with the move, and then I finished school, and I want to say goodbye to my family and friends. So I've been performing, but like 2 or 3 times a week, not as much as I used to. But I've been doing more club gigs. I was in Sala with Petrina Solange.
Okay.
So like like around Stockholm. I was in Sala, I was in not Jönköping. Some Köping, Enköping I think.
They're all the same.
Yeah. Eller Jönsten. And then some other place. Yeah, I've been around.
Yeah.
And then but been slowing down with the Big Ben stuff. Yeah, I was at the new club, Snälla.com.
How was that?
That was great.
Yeah.
That was really actually a really great room. And the club owners, Viktor Elsnitz, Hanna Lublin, Clara Christensen, and Desi Hietala, they were really friendly and welcoming and open. I really liked performing there. They had a very young and hip crowd as well.
Okay.
That was cool. Good room.
Nice. Should check it out.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it then. So you started. When was your first gig? Was it at Big Ben or?
Yeah, Big Ben in August of 2020.
Okay, so the pandemic was in full swing for quite a while, but by that point.
Yeah, it was. All the lockdowns hadn't come in yet. That was like 3 or 4 months after that when they had the 8-person maximal requirement.
Right.
Or
the lockdown.
The lockdown.
Yeah, it's Sweden everybody locked down, but yeah.
No, Operation Kill All Elders. So that was like 3 or 4 months after I started, but the pandemic was starting to get really big.
But what made you decide then that this is when I want to go to stand up?
It was luck and tomfoolery, luck, and like chance. Because I had been writing a lot before I started stand up, like poetry and some all forms of literature. And then I was going through like a really bad breakup, and then I thought I need to balance this sadness and emptiness out with laughter and joy. And what brings laughter and joy? Jokes. And where do people tell jokes? That's at stand-up. So I started to digest, it's not the word, but I started to, the opposite of produce.
Opposite produce?
Opposite of producing.
Like absorb?
Absorbing,
yes.
Yeah, absorbing stand-up. And then I started to write stand-up, like naturally, and then I just went to Big Ben to check it out with a friend. And then Milad was there, who's a comic, and he MCs at Big Ben. And when we were in the entrance, he told us that like tonight we're gonna invite someone from the stage up in the audience. So be ready, like. And then I was like, this is my chance, because I've been I had been wanting to try stand-up for a while, but I hadn't done it. And then that day, when I earlier when I had gone from my job, I was like, in my head, I realized that I had 5 jokes that worked well together. So I was just like, yeah, I'll write that down and remember it. And then that was like, it was like fate in a way. Like I had just realized I have these 5 jokes that work together, and now this opportunity opened itself up that I can perform tonight. And then I was sitting there getting more and more nervous, drinking more and more beer. And then Milad went up on stage and he said, and then we're gonna invite someone from the audience to perform. And I was like, I'll do it. And then I just stood up and went up to the microphone stand. And then I was like, why is there music playing? So why are you playing? Stop the music. And then he looked at me and said, after the break, after the break. So I just like prematurely ejaculated all over the audience. Then I went out and then went back inside, and then the second break started, or the second half. And then he said, now we'll welcome up the very, very eager young gentleman to the stage again. And then I went up, riffed a little bit, told my 5 jokes, and got off to thunderous applause. People shouting my name. It went really, really good, actually.
That's it?
The first gig. And I've been performing music and doing poetry readings since I was like 15. So I've been on stage a lot. But when I got off the stage after doing stand-up, that was like the most electrifying, like energizing thing I had ever done. So I just ran out of there and started to kick stuff and jump around and scream. And I love the feeling of it. And then I just started to perform every week after that.
There's a whole thing with Milad just saying, we're going to have someone in the audience.
Yeah.
What would you have done if you weren't there?
I don't know.
Is that like a thing he's done?
I've never seen him do that after.
He's just had a psychic vision? Or
Yeah, probably, yeah. Like he just, a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
The hand of God moved through Milad. Or Allah in his case, I guess. But I don't know. It just, everything just fell perfectly. The stars aligned, and I took the microphone. I don't know why he had that infall överhuvudtaget. I have no idea. It was really weird. But Milad, he does stuff like that all the time.
Let's say I can already tell this is going to be a much different feeling, at least from my point of view, for this podcast compared to the last season. Because the first season I was talking to people who they used to have passion for it, but then they cool off and they quit. They stop grinding, and I think it happened. You can see for me also. Like I remember, like in the very beginning, I'd be like, oh man, I've got Big Ben in 2 weeks. I can't wait.
Yeah.
And then it turns into eventually like, I got Big Ben tonight. Obviously, I get it.
I'll just cancel it.
So, but it's funny because I'm not talking to you, so I'm going to talk to people who are like more recent in their journey.
Yeah.
Which I also hate using the word for anything that's not an actual journey, but you're still brand new at Sam, so you're still like, it's exciting. It's still fun.
Yeah, I'm still like megalomaniacal about it. I have a big ego about it still, and it still feels like a journey to me. So yeah, you're doing the yin and the yang in this podcast, because I'm presuming that all the comics, the new comics that you're gonna interview now are gonna be more excited than like the raggedy old troll comics that you've been interviewing up until this point. But how do you feel about that? To come in and now interview people who are very excited about stand-up.
It's good. It makes me nostalgic.
Yeah.
I think like, oh, I don't remember when I put that way too. But it's really fun too. I can see like, I've talked to so many different people, not on podcasts, but just comics over the years, and it feels like there are certain patterns or trends comics follow for development.
Yeah.
Something you've seen yourself or seen their comics as well. Where in the beginning it's that you kind of come in and it's just overwhelming, like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm here.
Yeah.
And you look around the comic club and you see other comics who've been there doing this longer than you, and it's just wow, like you just have the kind of wide-eyed feeling about it all, and it's just like amazing, it's exciting, and then after about six months, it turns into like fuck, like why is that guy get 10 minutes, but I've got 5? Like fuck that guy.
He sucks. My penis jokes are much better. Yeah.
Would you say that apply to you? Have you felt that yourself?
Yeah, of course. I think like bitterness is a big part of doing stand-up, or like part of the journey of doing stand-up. You have to go through that, and I think almost everybody, not all the regular ones, not the ones that have success quickly. They go through a different kind of journey, and maybe they come bitter later. But of course, I've been bitter in this. But I've seen it like just part of my character development. It's something you have to go through to get to the other side, which is to get good at doing stand-up. Because I don't think you can be bitter and good. Maybe you can, but not as good as you could be, I think. And it's also just like bitterness. It's can be good in some cases, like, but I think it's it's more of a like a, if you put a wet cloth around you and then you go through life with all this bitterness and resentment, you're not going to get very far because you're walking around with like weighted shoes
Yeah.
or something.
And even if you do, because it can drive your ambition also. It can be a driving force.
Yeah,
Like, you
initially.
want to have more.
Yeah.
But if you're just constantly unhappy about what other people
Yeah.
have, then you're not happy about what you have.
Exactly.
You should have like some joy on. And I feel like I've met a lot, again, meeting comics, it seems like at some point people go one way or the other.
Yeah.
They either like kind of let go of the hate for the most part, not entirely, we are comics, but you appreciate what you have more.
Yeah.
Or you're kind of locked into like, oh, why, like, it's so good for that person. Like, well, that
Yeah.
person, you're not, why am I not there? Well, it's just, it feels like you're locked one way or the other.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
light side of the force and the dark side of the force.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But usually the dark people in like Star Wars, the Siths, they're more interesting, but in real life they're just boring to be around. They're the worst. They suck. Like the bitter types, you don't want to be around them anymore.
No, it's an energy suck for sure.
Yeah.
As well. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, we know, we get it, yeah.
Yeah, but in Star Wars they're pretty interesting. But in real life, no, not so much.
So I want to go back to COVID and
Yeah.
your time Big Ben.
Hmm?
Like for myself, like because as the pandemic, in the very beginning, like the start of 2020, I had taken a bit of a break from comedy, and like right when I was ready to start performing again, that's when clubs started shutting down. So I was performing less and less, and I went to Big Ben maybe once a month in the very beginning, and then it just felt weird. Like it just felt odd being there. Like I didn't have this feeling of like I'm being irresponsible.
Huh?
But I felt like I wasn't kind of a little bit. Like it seemed kind of silly that people were still going to a basement comedy club to hear dick jokes. You could just like not do that
Yeah.
and be fine. I know like a lot of like comics who are more like doing comedy for a long time did the same thing. They just either slowed down or stopped entirely.
Yeah.
And then from what I heard, because you know Big Ben at that point was still open 7 days a week.
3 days a week.
It was only 3 days. Okay, it wasn't. Okay. Still 3 days.
Mm.
What I heard, the rumor was that there was a bit of a comedy boom. Like something, there was like this like a whole new, like a slew of faces, like new people, like yourself.
Yeah.
Was that the case? Was there a lot of people like? Could you tell there were a lot of people who were just starting off around the time you were?
Yeah, there was a lot of cockroaches like myself flocking to the crumbs of the ship. But I think when I started, it was like myself and probably like at the very beginning, like 7 other faces. Like when the pandemic was at its highest, the winter of 2020, 2021, when there were the full lockdowns, and then we were like a pretty solid gang of 6 or 7 people, and I think only 2 or 3 of us have remained doing comedy since, because there was a lot of weirdos as well.
How weird.
Like very weird. Too weird.
But I mean, like weird in what way? Like
Like creepy. Like there was one guy, I thought he was like gonna come down one day and just shoot us all up, incel style. I was very scared of him, and he I think he kind of liked me because I was friendly towards him, but that only made me more afraid. Because he always went to me when he had a problem, or he was bitter from the start, but he was like, I think you know who it is, but he was a bit older than the rest of us starting out, and then there was like like me, myself and David Asp, we started around the same time, and we were there at Big Ben 3 days a week. And then at the beginning, Victor Elsnitz, he had been doing comedy, I think 2 years by that point. He was there pretty regularly as well. And then we had more established comics like Simon Gärdenfors and Johannes Benning. They were there a lot. Victor Engberg, Jens Falk, and they had been doing comedy for a while. And then there was like, I think there was one school of like Sky Eriksson, or I only know his stage name, Sky. And then Julia Stolpe and Saga Nord. They started like 6 months before me, and they did stand up the first 6 months of COVID, and then they stopped by the time I was getting into it, like when the pandemic was at its height. So it was a lot of new faces like during that time, but not all of them performed as often as like me or David, because we were there 3 days a week for like the first 9 months that we started in. Me in August and him in like September or October, I think.
Okay. And did you ever, again, this is not going to be like a judgmental podcast, like how could you have performed, how could you have done this? Because I honestly, I didn't really care even then.
No.
I was like, well, people, from my point of view was, if comics want to go because crowds want to show up, like no one's getting done to anyone's head.
No, but sometimes a crowd didn't show up. So it's pretty nonsensical that we did it, because there was just comics there some of the days.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know how I have no idea how I could do it. I just wanted it really bad, I think. I didn't really have another way to connect with people. Sammanhang, what's it called in English? Like a community.
Yeah. Another outlet, yeah.
Another outlet, no other outlet. I had stopped writing poetry. I had stopped performing music with my band because our drummer had left for Japan and our singer had become a monk. So,
okay.
So my best friends were leaving, and I was alone. And that was the place I found a sense of community. And I really wanted it. Like jokes just came to me all the time. I really wanted to write comedy, and I really wanted to perform comedy.
Mm.
And we had a really good time as well. It was really fun to just hang out and get to know each other. The new comics get to know the older comics, and I just saw it like as a chance to. I knew the pandemic was ending eventually, and I knew that the first like year of doing stand-up you're supposed to, or you can't not bomb. So I just wanted it to be done with it passa på when there wasn't an audience there.
Right.
So I just thought I was doing the smart thing.
Well, good training in that sense.
Yeah, in that sense, yeah. Too bad about all the immigrants and little people.
Did you get COVID in the end?
I did, but like 2 years in.
Okay.
So when everybody was back at it, but I was less sick than I used to be during that time, which was weird because we all shared the same germ-infested microphone. That must have been like the major like we had to have been responsible for keeping COVID alive during that time for sure.
I was talking to there's a big name, I won't name names, a big name comic in Sweden, and he'd run into the Big Ben's club owner.
Mm.
So after the pandemic was over,
Mm.
they were talking, and the club owner said to him, "I was like, yeah, you know, somehow I managed to get by."
Mm.
And so me and this other guy we were kind of laughing. It's like, yes, like we know you got by being a bit creative and selective with the rules you follow.
Yeah.
Because I assume everyone was aware that, okay, this club really should not be open. Like, if you're supposed to be 8 people in the audience max, but we're doing 50 because it's a restaurant. I mean, everyone knew it was kind of.
But they were pretty strict about the eight rule for like 4 minutes, for a month period.
Did they really do 8 people for a month?
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't know that. I thought they were always saying 50 because they were restaurants. They could do 50.
I just don't think normal people wanted to go out. I think if there were 50 people there, they would have left 50 people in. But sometimes there just was like 5.
Okay.
Or 0. and then it was just us comic sitting at a table. But the club owners, not Big Ben, not Thomas, but the people who own the restaurant.
Right.
They were pretty rigid about the rules. Like only. What was it, 4 people at a table, and they were pretty strict about that. So like Thomas, he bended the rules, and us comics as well, obviously because we were there. But the club, the restaurant owners, they were pretty hard on the rules.
Yeah, I noticed that. Because I came in, I went to Big Band again once things had kind of relaxed a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But in the rule was gone. So
Yeah.
they grasped that by that point. But even then, it was like you had to be a meter apart from people you don't know, and you couldn't have a drink anywhere but at your table.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
as a comic, so used to like you get up, you move around the room where I'm just looking for habit, so I'd just be standing in the back of the room with a bottle of beer, glass of beer, and
Yeah.
a bartender was known me for years. Like Bart, go sit down, sit down. Like, they're really disciplined.
Yeah, yeah, they try their best, and they always gave us shit for being there as well. All the bartenders, they always gave us shit, like, why are you doing this? Go home. You're killing my family. Please leave. And we were like, fuck you, I want to tell dick jokes.
I did a podcast, sort of like in the middle of pandemic. It was like a live video chat. Catherine was on as well. I was talking, and Catherine was saying how he's like, no, we're artists. We need to express our art, and I just laugh. It's like,
Artist.
Exactly. I just laugh. See, yes, it is true. We are artists.
Some of us.
But she's doing her hentai impersonation, and I'm telling people I'm circumcised. It's not high art. It's not like we're like Beethoven.
No. Like, stand-up can be art, I think. Like, some people make it that, but it's more of a craft than anything. I think that's like, performing is a craft and writing jokes. It's a craft, but the art part is pretty lost on me. I think Norm Macdonald has a really good, like, it's pretty simple, or what's it called, like, not binary, but simplified.
Right.
It's pretty simplified version of it, but he says that, like, art is more supposed to be, like, open for interpretation. Like, it can mean different things to different people, and they play to the feelings, a bit to the intellect, but like, it's supposed to be this open to interpretation, but or whatever, like, word is called. But stand-up is more like everybody has to get the point at the same time. It has to be very clear what the comic means, and everyone in the audience has to laugh at the same time, or at least know where to laugh. So it's not open to interpretation. And that's what
I hadn't really thought of that. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's a good point. So it's not art; it's a craft.
You can't go around saying to other comics that we're not artists.
I just laugh in their faces.
That's when the ego explodes again.
Yeah, true. But I really, I like that interpretation. Norm Macdonald's like saying about it.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Good. Now, had you gone to? Of course, again, your debut was during the pandemic. But had you gone to comedy clubs before that, to as an audience member? Had you just gone?
Sporadically through the years. My friend Jacob, who I now do a podcast with, Orkester, by the way, or Kevin's personalutveckling. He is a big stand-up fan, and he really likes Swedish stand-up. So he's been going pretty regularly since 2014, I think. And then he went like 4 times a week at 2018-19. So went there more often than some comics to just watch it. So he dragged me along with him a few times, and made me buy tickets to all the big names that he liked. So I've been seeing some stand-up, and like, when I was a kid, my father showed me Delirious with Eddie Murphy. I really like that one. And then Louis C.K., of course, has been like a big part of my group's humor, in a way, because they introduced Louis C.K. to me, but I've always watched whenever he's released a new special.
Okay.
So I had an idea of it, but I wasn't that into it as I am now.
But when you actually did start, did you have any like expectations of what it would be like, of like not just on stage doing off, like even like dealing with their comics or doing club owners? Did you have like any? Was there any like prejudice or any like ideas you had going into it that you?
I thought comics would be more fun than they are. A lot of them are very self-centered and not open, close-minded, and pretty boring people to be around when they're off stage. And even some of them on stage, I think. I won't name names, but we all know of whom I'm referring. but then also, of course, a lot of them are very fun. Like some of my best friends now are comics, and some we don't hang around. They hang out when we're not at the clubs because we see each other so often. But I've met some of my best friends there, and they're very, very fun people to just be around, and very creative with the way they think, and I think that's very like impressive and inspiring. They're very inspiring people, very driven, most of them. Like they have this energy about them because they're always being loaded with other people's energy when they're on stage, and crave that. So my prejudice would be like just watching like Louis C.K. That, like everyone else, I think that stand-ups are a bunch of like broken people, also I guess, and like pretty sad characters in their regular life, but that turned out to be absolutely true. No, I really don't like the broken wing, like sad clown archetype. I think that's very misleading. Now that I've gotten to know comics and what humor is really about.
Yeah, I mean, I would often say like all comics are broken, but yeah, some are more broken than others.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, there's definitely, we have the one thing in common, it's like everyone wants to be loved.
Yeah.
And everyone wants to be accepted, but I think it takes a special kind of like something has to be broken for you to want to go on a stage and try to get it from drunk strangers. Like that's just taking it to another level.
Oh, maybe. I just think it's very fun. I just really like being up there. I don't know if I'm like I have this like hole that I should be filling with booze and the horse instead of instead of stand-up. I don't know that I've got that. I just really like to be on stage.
Yeah, I get that because we have the music background as well, and poetry, so you're sort of used to being on stage
and been
presenting.
Yeah, presenting and like been what's it called, like been drawn towards it.
Yeah, you started off earlier by saying that because you're in the rough patch, that you will think you want to do comedy because that'll be funny and joy and not bitter and sad. And my immediate thought was, how long did it take you before you realized that stand-up is just more bitter and sad?
like by my third gig, I think, when I bombed the first time, and I bombed bad. I bombed so bad the first time, like complete cricket silence. Like now, whenever I bomb, like you don't really bomb nowadays because now I've been doing it nearly 3 years. I have some tools I can pick up, and I have some what's it called, like aces up my sleeve,
right?
If needed be, but so now I can like turn a bad situation to a less bad situation. But at the beginning you had no idea, and like my first 2 gigs went really good. Like the first one was phenomenal, and the second one was pretty good. So I had like this huge ego, like I'm the best comic right now, like I'm gonna be a huge star as soon as the right people see me. And then I went up the third time and just bombed miserably. Like with that in mind too, like I had the biggest ego and then just to nothing, crushed, annihilated. And it was also at, do you remember Ahmed Beran and Brane Pavlovic had that podcast, like live podcast at Big Ben?
Oh yeah, the Bad Company.
Bad Company, Easy Butts. And they invite like a rookie or an established comic to go up and perform 1 minute of comedy, and then they like have a panel chat with them or like give them feedback or just talk, and then they for like 5-10 minutes, and then they record it and then release it on their feed. So that I did that. My third gig went up, and I had just like right before I went on stage, I had met the Swedish TV personality Robert Aschberg. You know who that is? No. I knew him from TV, but so I just met him outside of Big Ben when I was smoking a cigarette, and then we talked for a little while, and then he called me a spoiled brat or something, because I definitely was a spoiled brat, I was acting all arrogant towards him. And then I just went up on stage and I opened with that. I just met the rope dash, but nobody understood that it just had happened. So when I came to the punchline, nobody laughed. And like, it was a good feeling in the room. Like the atmosphere was great, and then I just went up and sucked the air out of the room. I killed it. Like everything. And I remember like everything just went black, and then I just, I said, I'll just do my jokes then, thinking that would get a laugh, and it didn't. And then I did 2 jokes before they scratched me out, and then I bombed the panel as well horribly. And then I just, so it was like being recorded in front of people I knew and looked up to, and I had seen other comics in the room that I had been a fan of for a while. So it was just totally humiliating to bomb that way. And then I just went off and started drinking till I passed out. So what was the question again?
Where do we start there for us? Yeah, but your prejudices, your feelings about how it would be doing comedy.
Oh, yeah.
But still, but the bomb 3 gigs in is still pretty good though to have that, because once you have that experience so early on, you always have that. It never gets worse than that.
No, and it hasn't. It hasn't been worse than that in my life. I think that was like probably the worst night of my life, all time low.
How long before you tried again?
2 days, I think. So I went back on the horse immediately because I had read somewhere that you're supposed to do that. And I think that's when I realized like that I really want to do this, because if I had had that experience and felt like I don't ever want to feel that again, it's not worth it. Not even the risk of feeling that, and I would have quit, and it wouldn't have been for me. But the first thought I had when I woke up was like, I have to make this right. I have to reset from this. Like, so I couldn't. If I could, I would have gone to Big Ben that same day, like the day after.
Yeah.
But I had to wait 2 days for Thursday to come around.
I think it's pretty common too for comics that first time you go on stage and you're so nervous, and if the host's doing a good job, the host will actually even tell the crowd this is their debut. It's the first time giving a little extra love, so like they think it's a really warm intro.
Lower your expectations.
Yeah. But then generally the crowds generally want someone new to do well, so they're very generous and giving. So
Absolutely.
You all go on stage and feel like, that's great. And maybe the second time, same thing. It could be you still feel like get that buzz.
Yeah.
And then you get then you have all that confidence.
Yeah.
It's not really based on anything, but it's just like, I got this. And you go on.
And then you face
dies.
Like really fast, violent death. Because then the expectations are like they're nullified again, or not nullified. What's it called? Like they're at base level,
right?
Not below base level, as they are in the beginning. And then I proceeded to bomb like pretty regularly. Like at first it was I wanted to like remove that tag of new comic pretty quick from the audience. So like my 5th gig in, or 6th, I think I asked the MC to not introduce me as new,
right?
Just to have that the real experience. And then I started to bomb like first like 50% of the time, then 30% of the time, 20% of the time, and then I just started to lower that number and started to build my tight 5. But it was pretty, what's it called? Like pretty rough in the beginning, as it is for everyone.
Right. That's one thing Seinfeld has said that I don't totally agree with, but I get where he's coming from. He said that he said being comic is a pirate job. He said the first time, because there's all the discussion of like when do you call yourself a comic? And for his point of view was the first time you go on stage, you're a comic. Because it's just like he compared it to piracy, saying if you don't be a pirate, then you go be a pirate. There's not like a university for it. You just go.
You start ravaging and plundering.
Exactly. And being comic is the same way. So you want to be a comic, go on stage. And then from the audience point of view, the audience doesn't give a shit when you go on stage. They don't know you. So it could be your first time or your 5,000th time. They have no idea. It's just you're up there to make them laugh. That's all they care about. I don't entirely agree with that, but in the sense when people have done comics, like they've done 2 gigs and they're walking on comics with a comic. My heroes are always comics.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to say like I'm a comic, Bill Hicks is a comic. It's a weird.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But yeah.
It is. Absolutely.
So now that the reason I was asking before about your prejudice, but your kind of feelings going into this, because like for me, I know what the club scene was like in Stockholm before pandemic.
Yeah.
And a lot of those clubs shut down, just went away. Then there was the pandemic period, which was weird, and now that's over. So it's like the clubs is like coming back now. So, but what's your feeling been now, like post pandemic, as like in the community in general?
It's been good. I think it's right now. It feels like it's a comedy boom again, because I think during the pandemic, a lot of more established comedians stopped performing, and instead started to utilize social media. Like I think Kristoffer Nyqvist was one of the first one in Sweden to post social media clips on TikTok and the Instagram, and he exploded pretty quickly because he's very, very funny. And then Atto Karlsson, of course, and then a lot of other comics as well has done. Now everybody does it. And all the younger people, they hang out on social media, and then they see the like the big banner in the background or whatever club they're at, and they wanna go to those places. So since like I think it's like 6 or 8 months ago, it's been like packed at Big Ben and almost all the other clubs almost every night. I don't know exactly how it was before the pandemic, but when I've talked to comics who performed before then, they say that this is on high. That comedy is riding a high wave right now. So I think it's very, very good. A lot of new clubs are opening up, a lot of good clubs, and some rooms are like packed several times a week as the same time as another room is packed in the same area of the city. So it's definitely a surplus of comedy audiences right now, and also comics. There's a lot of new comics right now. So I think it's entering or has entered a golden, if not a golden age, a golden wave.
That's good.
Yeah.
And for me, because I can compare it to, I think the comedy scene in Stockholm has kind of waxed and waned over the years. I thought it was really interesting for a while because before the pandemic, pretty much every club, except for like Norma Brew and Raw, Mafia, everything was free. It was always free to get in. And then like very, very special, like Oslipop would charge money. Again, very, very, very specialized niche clubs would charge money at the door. And then for a while, then Big Ben started charging at the door.
Yeah.
Even though it was a little bit. And then like it seemed like all new clubs started opening up, and they also started charging the door. Suddenly, like all clubs were charging.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I guess this is the new way now. But now that's going away. It's going back to free entry.
Yeah.
Everywhere again. It's fun to watch it develop. And Stockholm it's ridiculous how much comedy. There's way too many clubs. Yeah. For a city that size, it's not like New York City. There shouldn't be like this much like going on. But
no, not really. But I think the demand is being supplied right now.
And now you're heading to Malmo.
And now I'm heading to Malmö. Yeah, right at the peak. I'm turning my back to Stockholm at the peak. But as far as I can tell, Malmö is going through a peak right now as well.
And do you have any like urge to open anything yourself?
Yeah, of course. I've had that since I started, but haven't found like it's all about location.
Right.
And I haven't found the perfect location. Maybe I'll do it in Malmö, depending on if I see a need for it. But I think that would be good. Like all the comics that I've talked to recommend it, just to get more comfortable quicker on stage, and because it's your club, you have to write a lot of new material, because hopefully you'll have recurring
Regulars, yeah.
Regulars, yeah. Thank you. I have it in mind, and because I'm not moving there to work, I'm just moving there to, or like work a regular job. I'm going there to work comedy. I'll probably have a lot of free time to open a club.
Mm.
Hopefully, if I find a good location.
Can you get a spot when you?
Of course. Every time you're there.
Always that.
Yeah, of course. I wanna help everybody.
Very cool.
Of course, can.
So I mentioned this before. I like to end each episode
Mm.
with a bit of a war story exchange.
Yeah.
So I asked you to think of something, just anything comedy related to your first ever gig, your worst bombing. You may cover both those things already, but
Yeah, I did.
if you have any other stories you want to share?
I have I think maybe you've heard this one before, but this was at the time, you know Oli Gorgi?
Yes.
He performs with you at Mafia pretty regularly. He has a club of his own in Sundbyberg called Skrattfabriken, right? Yeah. And when he first started up, like the first year, I was there and helping him with the audio, sitting in the door, and just helping out at the club to get spot time, time on stage. And it's a very good club. I like it very much, especially when it's packed. It's like a magical room to be in. And one time, it was such a night. It was a packed room, very good feeling. I don't remember everyone who performed, but they had a special guest booked, and the special guest was none other than Al Pitcher, also known as one of the biggest comics in Sweden, most beloved. I think it's like sold out Globen a few times.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, very big. So he was there as a special guest, working out his new hour, and right before he was supposed to start, Ollie went up on stage, and he said like, oh, if you haven't figured it out by now, the secret guest is none other than Al Pitcher. And then the crowd went crazy. Everyone wanted to see Al Pitcher, and then he said, are you excited about it? And then they all roared, and then he said, perfect, but before we bring Al Pitcher up, here's Kevin Ricks from the door. And then I went up, and they did not like me. They just wanted to see Al Pitcher. That was pretty rough. Nothing special happened other than that, like cruel circumstances. And I didn't have the presence.
Did Ollie do it on purpose, or he just didn't think it?
He has the dumb guy. he does before he thinks, or acts before he thinks. And I didn't have the presence of mind to mention it on stage. I think it would have been very funny if I had just said what I was feeling, but instead I was still like 1 year in, 1.5 years in, so I wasn't really good. I was there doing my like shit 5 minutes, just struggling through it. Like, any of you guys like dick jokes or whatever? I don't know. Not that I could stray from my tight five anyway. But that was like that was pretty rough. But then it was a pleasure to meet Al Pitcher. He's really friendly, and I met him several times since, and it's very inspirational to be around.
He is. He's very fast with an audience.
Very fast, yeah. I saw him like a year later in the same room performing, also doing his new hour, and he was supposed to be up, I think, 30 minutes. He was up 50 minutes, and 40 of those minutes was audience interaction, and just riffing and improvising. It was crazy to see. He was a beast on stage. And then he tried to do material, and then he just fell back into the audience thing. But he's another level.
Right, well, I can tell an Al story then. I was going to talk about my first one getting COVID, but it's not really a comedy story anyway. I can tell an Al story instead. So I was booked with him. It was me and him, my wife Ava, was Thomas Bungaroo, who runs Big Ben, and one a magician. What was his name? It doesn't matter. We were all booked to do a corporate gig in like Linköping or somewhere down there. So we all went, and it was like a kind of annual event. It was this like telemarketing company.
Okay.
They had about 20 people and like their immediate families would go and have like dinner, and then they would see comedy. So they're used to it. But it was very odd odd. Like, it was in the hotel. It was like kind of really weird feeling. We're not quite sure what to expect at all.
Okay.
We all had dinner before the show because they were all eating as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Al was in headline, of course.
Al Pitcher.
Al Pitcher.
Yeah.
And he was really nervous, which I was like surprised by. He was really nervous, and he was just like saying out loud to us, like, why am I doing this? It's like, I shouldn't be here. Why am I doing it? And this is not that long. This is like maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
So he's still like 17 years in.
Yeah. He's like he's done Globin.
Yeah.
and then he's doing this, and he's like pacing, and I'm not sure what the problem was. I think he was just thrown by the fact that we're in a hotel conference room, like the Kennington area, and it's not a comedy club. At this point, we don't know how like kind of used to comedy these people are.
Mm-hmm.
It's a corporate gig, so it should be shit because
Yeah.
they always generally are. But then we started going on, and like everyone did well. Like everyone, not just well, but like really well.
Oh, okay, cool.
Like everyone did well. Like so, the magician did his thing, and he was really good. Bonder went on. They liked him a lot. So my wife went on. They liked her a lot. I went on. They liked me a lot. And all I could feel like this is great. Like we're all gonna walk as heroes.
Yeah.
And then Al went on, and like something like switched. He just like switched something in his brain, and he just treated the room like he was at Globin.
Oh, okay.
Instead of like being in like a little hotel conference room, he was on stage acting like he was at Globin, like that same energy.
Okay.
And when he was done, they gave him a standing ovation.
Oh, wow.
So I was standing in the back of the room, so he walked off, and I just shook his hand, and I said, "Fuck you," because if you tone it down like a little bit, like we all could have been heroes, like they would remember us all. But I guarantee the only thing you remember is Al fucking Pitcher from that gig.
Absolutely.
Dick.
Doesn't even remember there were other comics. And he had the nerve to be nervous as well. Total dick move.
That was one more Al story. He's all gassed with this also. One night we were at Big Ben. He was going to try out some new material. He told me before, I'm going to try out some new stuff tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And then Morton Anderson showed up to the on our Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we'll go to Big Ben and stand and watch, and all the comics are all
I have to.
It's like it reminds me of like Ferdinand, from Kalanka Christmas cartoons.
No, Ferdinand. Oh yeah, the bull.
Yeah. So there's a scene when like the matadors, the arena owners.
Oh yeah.
Ben
Mm-hmm.
and something. All the bulls are like fighting like crazy, like they're all like showing off.
Yeah.
Like that's like when Morton shows up. All comedy. We gotta do our best. And Al started pacing.
Oh, okay.
Being nervous,
Mm-hmm.
and he even like looked at me and said like I just want to try new material tonight.
Mm.
They went on stage. He didn't try anything new. He just did great sets, and of course they loved him. They loved our with it.
Mm.
But I asked them why. Like I said, like why are you trying to impress Morton? Like you're beyond that.
Yeah.
And he said it wasn't that. He said for him was he feels like when people go to Big Ben, everyone wants to do their absolute best.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't want to do anything less than his absolute best.
Mm-hmm.
Which I get that, but it is Big Ben.
Yeah.
It is still a Mike. He can.
Does he know who he is?
Yeah. It reminds sometimes.
What's best for him is like astronomical levels beyond.
Yeah.
Like what's the best for a regular open micer? He could go up and fart in the mic for 5 minutes and be better. Which is actually part of my new act.
Okay, I'm removing them. Well, Kevin, good luck with the move.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'll miss you.
And this, I miss you too. And this was an absolute pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you for having me on.
Hopefully it turned out well. We'll find out.
Yeah, hopefully it's didn't die during the recording. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thanks.